I said I would cover Origen's discussion of the problem of evil, and congratulations, you're to the hardcore philosophy class that I'll try to make easier. So I'm gonna go to number one. He says, "I suppose you are aware that two uncreated things cannot exist together, though you seem to assume that they can, and to put the assumption in the forefront of your argument when you say that one or two things must be admitted, either that God is separated from matter, or on the contrary, that He is united to it." Blah 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 blah. What's an uncreated thing? He would say like dirt and rocks, um, like trees probably, and grass, and matter. Um, and what's it? So like, but God's uncreated. So like, he's saying like God does not like coexist with matter. Like he's saying he's like very against pantheism apparently. Pantheism is the belief that God is everything. Like there's like God is the quarks. Like I have a paper where I talked about like this idea that like God is actuality, God is everything, that like energy is actuality, that like the substance of everything is unchangeable because the second law of thermodynamics, and like um that like at the core of everything is actuality, which would be God. Origen does not believe like that God is in a state of actuality, so that's like clear in a second. Something that's in a state of actuality is changing. So like a little sprout from like growing out of the ground is in actuality until it's like fully bloomed, and then or no, it's in potentiality. It has potential like to become actual until it's like fully grown out. So like the sprout grows up and it becomes actual. So I don't want to go too deep into it, but he believes that like God is not like the matter. So God is not like your body. So here, right above my head, place of God, we must of necessity affirm that he is finite and circumscribed by matter. He must, moreover, like matter, be subject to irregular disturbances. He cannot stay in one place nor abide self-dependent, inasmuch as that wherein he is contained is carried first one way or another. So like God is not contained by matter is like something that like I talk about in my paper, the actuality of everything, that I talked about on Instagram. I failed it. I took it to another philosophy professor, and like I got my grade changed to a D, I think. My professor was the chair of the department, and he had a degree from Notre Dame. So like I was learning from Catholic people, unfortunately, but it was helpful. So matter is finite. Like if you have a body, a corporeal like form, then like you like are finite. And like he's saying that, well, God is not finite clearly. So Isus was not finite. Like he is not confined by his matter. So below the blue, he says that like if God is like contained by matter, then he would be a lower form of being like everyone else. And like clearly, like I'm someone that like my genetics are on more than one planet. Like I'm the king on like a lot of planets. It's not like I'm the first Zeus. Like the reason I'm so confident is because there are that many Zeuses out there. So below the blue at the very end of it, like it says, "For you postulate the existence of matter so that you may not have to admit that God is the author of evil, and in your determination to avoid this error, you affirm that He is the receptacle of evil. If you told me that what you see in created substances leads you to suppose that matter was originally uncreated, I should have had many arguments to prove the impossibility of this conclusion. But as you say, the origin of evil is the cause of such a supposition, I must, I think, proceed to inquire into the nature of evil." All right, so God was uncreated, and like the earth was uncreated, and so like what is like real creation? Like it's the form that you put the earth into. Like is Jerusalem the rocks that made Jerusalem? I'm talking about the old city of Jerusalem. Here's a statue of Moses, and like it's Isus. And like so like is that statue the rock, or is it like the statue? Like is it like, and that's what he says creation is. The creation isn't like the matter. Like the creation is like turning the matter into that, or creating the walls of Jerusalem, and like creating a palace like the old city of Jerusalem, which is it was a palace. I'll just look at two. He says, "Do I understand you to say that unqualified matter is coexistent with God and that out of it he created the world? It seems to me so. So then, if matter had no qualities and the world was made by God and the qualities are in the world, God is the maker of the qualities. Just so, but I think you said before that nothing can possibly come out of nothing. So, like, when God creates things, he creates things out of stuff. So he goes on to like argue with this person. He's going like, "You're saying that God created everything out of like absolutely nothing, and the reality is nothing's created out of nothing. God creates things out of stuff. Trust me, everything's created out of something." So I've talked about like in the beginning was the logos. And what's the logos? Like in that sense, like I think it was the teachings. Like it's like the online education programs that we had from our spaceship that like we were capable of learning. Like I'm capable of reverse engineering the Egyptian language. I have no idea what I'm capable ever until one day the NSA shows up and I'm like the best programmer in the world. I'm like this incredible computer guy. And like I am like the last person that should be an incredible computer guy. I'm like the guy that like is obsessed with Greek. I'm the guy that knows that I don't want you to go to hell. I love you. There's no way you're allowed to go to hell. Or at least I was until I like rejected theism because I had a Catholic person teaching me what I have to believe in my religion. So there's this concept of like nothing being created out of outside of God, and the reality is that like nothing's created outside of the logos. And like is education God to us? Like I feel like there's nothing like the logos. Like that is like why I am superior. Like but it's more than that. It's because I'm chosen because like I am that smart. So he goes on to talk about like skills that are developed from other skills. Like say that like you're teaching someone architecture skills and like that guy is from a opposing power and then that guy leaves the country, goes to back to his other country, uses what you taught him when you were building the city of Jerusalem and uses it to build weapons against you somehow because you've taught him to engineer that. He changed your engineering plans. Like does that mean that like you created the evil or did the substance beget the evil? Did the guy create the evil? And can evil exist outside the corporeal? Can evil exist outside of matter? Is like the real gist of this argument. Can adultery exist without people to commit adultery? Like you can't do adultery without like an adulterer. So after the bully says, "Do you regard evil as substances or qualities of substances?" So here he says in the blue, "For neither is murder a substance, nor adultery, nor is any such like evil thing. But as the grammarian is so called from grammar, and the rhetorician from rhetoric, and the medical man from medicine, though neither medicine nor rhetoric nor grammar is a substance, and the substance takes its title to its accidents, neither of which it is." So what's an accident? It's an like unplanned byproduct. So like is my grammar my book? Like I wrote a book, Cat Orgies, Terrorists and Monks in the Middle East by John Alexander. No. Is my rhetoric, which is like my persuasive writing style, like my argumentative style, like is it like because of the way they taught me the rhetoric? No. Like I mean like Origen's good because he was taught rhetoric. I'm good because I was taught rhetoric, and that's why when I tell you like that king's prophecy about like Isus being being like getting the Levites killed on the 15th, like that's like a rhetoric strategy to have your strongest argument first, and then you should end strong also. But the first is everything. So here he says that matter is the cause of all the evils in the world, not God. So like he's talking to a different person. I don't think he's talking to Celsus. In like the Catholic tradition, like there's this belief that like God is perfect goodness, and it's even in the Protestant tradition now, and like nothing exists outside of God. Like God cannot be contained. Like, like God is perfect goodness. So like the existence of evil is a problem that like no one can solve at all. Like we all hit that wall. We're like, well, how does evil exist at all? And then they say sin, and you go, well, what about like evil towards like little kids that haven't sinned, that don't know like what they're doing? Like why would like an omnipotent God not protect like the little kid from like getting tortured or something? Origen views God different.